Today, on the David and Hillary Show, we're going to conclude our series entitled Sailing the Seven Seas of a Successful Marriage.
There will also be planes, boats, Mustangs, and helicopters.
Oh, you definitely don't want to miss that. Hang on for another incredible episode.
Let's do this.
Well, I promised this was going to be an incredible episode. I hope it's not the episode that we burn things down.
I know. We have a very excited candle.
I know. I think you can see the difference on screen, but we, at the end of last episode, we trimmed the wick and played around with the candle a little bit, and it's burning better, but it's much higher. And I'm not sure if you can see the smoke coming off of it on the screen or not, but it's definitely different for us, especially being this close to it. It's like, I need a marshmallow or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, recently we went to visit your dad and stepmom in Georgia.
Yep.
They live in the mountains of North Georgia, and we had a really fun time with them. While we were there, they had heard about a cool car show, plane show.
Yes.
And asked if we wanted to go to that, which of course we did. And I've been to several car shows, but never a car show, plane show. So there was a
car show, craft show. I mean, those were good times.
We've been to car show, craft show. There were no crafts at this one, but it was really fun. This was at the Blairsville Municipal Airport.
Nice job.
In the mountains of North Georgia, a small airport, and so mostly small planes, but it was fun to see all the variety of planes. One of the things that we noticed first when we got there was that someone was giving helicopter rides. So
that looked like fun.
We didn't get to do that, but it looked like a lot of fun.
And there were small planes taking off and
taking off and landing.
Doing a short little run and then coming back. So, it was fun.
If you've ever been to a car show, especially kind of a low-key, just bring your car out, we're not necessarily giving awards kind of car shows, people kind of come and go. Mm-hmm. The early risers will get there really early, and then when the crowds are showing up, they'll just leave. It's kind of funny. And I don't know, maybe they're trying to hit 2 or 3 car shows during the day. I don't really know the whole ins and outs of it. But I've just noticed some people will come early, some people will come late. These are the people with the cars. And it seemed like the planes were doing the same thing. They were flying in and flying out. And where we parked, we had to go across the airstrip to get to the show. So that was the first time in my life that I think I've ever walked out on takeoff landing strip at an airport.
That was fun.
And wow, we have to be, you can obviously see a plane coming for a little ways away. So, it wasn't hard to not get run over, but it was the first time I'd ever had to worry about that.
Yep.
So, we had helicopter. We didn't take a helicopter ride, but they were doing that, which was really fun. And there were mostly smaller planes. I wish I would have taken more pictures of the planes, but there were quite a few different kinds, some that I'd never seen before. But once we kind of really got into it, I took a couple pictures of planes, and then I took a lot of pictures of cars because I'm really into cars. But this was a really nice plane. Most of the planes that were there were this size or smaller. So that kind of gives you an idea. There were not any 747s taking off and landing at the Blairsville Municipal Airport. Here we see planes and cars in the same picture, just to kind of give you, all the cars were kind of on one side and all the planes were on the other side, but in the middle they were facing each other. And I was like,
what a great shot.
It was cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, and there's another one just to kind of show both. But,
and even the mountains in the background, I kept like looking off in the distance. I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful.
Yeah,
it was such a beautiful place to have the event.
It really was.
So nice.
It really was. The Corvette Club, I think, was there, and I didn't talk to anybody about that. But if you're not into this whole scene, if you have a cool car, then a lot of times you might belong to a club of people that own the same type of car, or just a classic car club in general. But when you see all the same cars lined up in a row, you go, oh, well, the Corvette Club is here. So there's a bunch of more recent Corvettes, and here we've got Mustangs and Chevelles, and and some cool old trucks. I didn't get the full scoop on all of them, but here is a two-door Chevy Nova wagon. They didn't make a lot of those. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
It's got the custom patriotic paint job.
Super cool.
It's pretty cool. And then this, among our group, was one of the favorites.
The favorite. This car was amazing in person.
I think you, your dad, and your stepmom all like this one the
we're
best.
like, we'll take it home. Thanks.
So it's a kind of champagne-colored Corvette, 1961-ish. I didn't get the exact year. Of course, there were more than one year that they looked like that, but that's close. Anyway,
Beautiful.
This was one of my favorites. This is a 78 Trans Am that was built by Martin Brothers Customs. And the reason I know that for sure is because they had the placard. I didn't get a close-up picture of it, but you can see it there to the left of the car. Martin Brothers Customs is the name of the business that does classic cars and custom cars. And they are featured on the television show Iron Resurrection. So if you've ever seen that show, this car was featured on one of those, and maybe more than one. Sometimes it takes them more than an episode to build a car, but they put a cool engine in it and they made it look really, really great. In addition to all the things that they did to it, Joe Martin, one of the owners, and one of the guys that makes a lot of the decisions on how the cars are done and whatnot, he hand painted the hood bird on the Trans Am, which you can see here.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're not familiar with car shows, it's standard fare for you to have the hood up so people can see the engine and see what kind of engine you have and how clean you've kept it or whatever, whether you have or haven't. So the bird is kind of upside down, but he did a great job. Usually there's stickers. There are no stickers that have that exact color combination. So that was his custom thing. So it was fun to see that in person, especially after having seen it on the television show. This next one, I think this was a Camaro, and now that I've got the picture up here, I see all the scratches in it, but
You couldn't see them that day. Yeah.
It's hard to capture in a photograph what we actually saw, but this was maybe the coolest paint job there. It just practically glowed off of the sheet metal. It was metal flake and high gloss, and it just, you walk past it and you just couldn't help look at it. It was really cool.
Yeah. I noticed it. That tells you how beautiful it was. It was I think I pointed it out to you. I was like, look at that car.
Look at the paint. Yeah.
Yeah. It was stunning.
Well, here was another one you said was one of your favorites.
It is.
And
He's so cool.
I looked these up. I'm not sure exactly what year it is, but it's a Ford Crown Victoria from the 1950s. And it is cool and restored really well. It's in good shape, and the two-tone paint is killer. Some of those had a post, which is a support between the front seat and the back seat. This one did not. And so, there's different trim models and stuff. I'm not that familiar with these cars, but it was cool, and it was fun to see it.
It was beautiful.
In person.
Makes me want to go to a drive-in and get ice cream.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I meant to tell you, when I was on my other adventure this last weekend, which I'll talk about in our next episode, there was a drive-in movie theater that was active.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, we should come back here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only 8 hours away, but...
You know what? Actually, remind me, one of our friends was telling us there's one closer around here.
What?
They want to go to it. Yeah.
We'll have to check that out.
You know who you are, and we're in.
We're the movie people. Well, here is what they call a rat rod. So instead of restoring a car to original or restoring to a super high gloss paint job or a custom that looks close to original, rat rods are where you just kind of embrace the grittiness and the we're too cool for school kind of thing. And so this says Menace on the side of it. Looks to be probably built from an early Ford of some kind. I'm not going to pretend to know exactly what year that started as, but it's cool. It's cool if you like the rat rod, gritty, down and dirty look.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
It's not your thing, is it?
No, I don't really like it. But, everybody can do what they want.
I have an appreciation for different styles. I think it's kind of fun. This was something I had never seen before. This is actually made by Chevrolet. I thought it was some kind of crazy iteration of a Volkswagen bus that I hadn't
Right.
seen before. And then I saw the Chevrolet on the front, and then I started questioning, is this just a complete custom job? Well, it's not. I looked it up, and you may remember from the 60s or know about from the 60s, Chevy made a sports car called the Corvair. It eventually had some problems. We're not going to get into all that, but they were popular for a while, and collectors still like them in a lot of instances. Well, under the Corvair banner, Chevrolet made a van. It was the first van that they ever made.
Okay.
And they were making other trucks, but they also made a truck in that line. And so this is the Chevrolet Corvair 95. The 95 refers to the wheelbase, which was 95 inches. And as I said, it was Chevy's first attempt at a van. They made them from 61 to 65. And there were a couple different trim models. This is the Greenbrier. So it's a Chevy Corvair Greenbrier. And it's real. I'm 60 years old. I've been into cars a long time. I've never seen one before.
That's cool.
So that was cool. Well, after the car show, we decided to go out on the lake. So in North Georgia, there's a lake called Lake Chatuge. I almost said that wrong. Lake Chatuge. It's a man-made lake, and it was made by building a dam in the valley between the mountains, and then they flooded all of that. They bought people's property, and it was a whole thing. But it's been there a long time. It was completed in 1942.
Oh, wow.
And when it was completed, it was the highest earthen dam in the entire world. It's also been raised a couple of times since then because once they built it, then it just wasn't high enough. It would rain and overflow and whatnot, and so they've made it higher a couple different times, as recently even as the 1980s. But it's a beautiful setting. It's a recreational lake, so a lot of people go out and fish and water ski and jet ski and all the things. And so we went out there, and it was just a beautiful day.
Yes.
The water, the mountains, the trees, and the clouds were kind of amazing all day long.
Yeah, it was such a good day. So beautiful. This picture is me and my stepmom. We're on the boat.
Yep.
And it was a little loud and a little windy up front, but with a little raising your voice, you could carry on a conversation. But
Right.
I wanted to be out in the sun. I wanted to be out enjoying the view, and just so gorgeous that day.
Yeah. Well, you tan easily and I don't, so I stayed in the shade.
Yeah.
I burn easily. I got a lot of shots of the mountains and the water and all the things, but I looked back at the back at one point and saw the American flag flying from the top of
I love that shot.
Yeah, I was like, well, sometimes it's good to see where you've been.
So this is the view from the back of the boat.
From the back of the boat.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool.
And then at one point, we decided to stop for lunch. And one of the things that your parents like to do is find a kind of a sandy shore on an island, because there are several islands in this area. And they kind of just pulled up onto this sandy little beach area. And we got the food out and had lunch. And then you and your stepmom took off on the raft.
Oh, yeah.
And paddled out. At one point, you guys became just a little tiny speck. And I was like, what?
Well, I really wanted to get out into the water, and it's beautiful, beautiful water. When we first went out, it was right by the beach. It was a little weird on your feet. You didn't know what you're stepping in. I said, let's just quick get out of this area.
Yeah, I would have gotten out. I just didn't feel like getting into all of that. I was having a lot of fun just being up on the boat, relaxing, eating, being in the shade. But yeah, you can kind of see the craggy shoreline there, and then here you guys are paddling back. You went out and back twice, I think.
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we went out a little bit further, some of the speedboats going by made some waves for us, and then we were kind of riding those waves with we've got the just like a raft. What do you call this? A little floaty thing. I forget what you call it. But
Some kind of raft.
yeah, but it was super fun.
Well, thankfully no sharks in the freshwater lake.
I love it.
I think the 50th anniversary of Jaws is this year. I saw that advertised. It's going to be at the theater. But anyway, this is their dog Rusty, and Rusty loves being on the boat. And at times he loves to go up front, and it looks like he's navigating, like he's yelling back, like no, look to the left.
Yeah.
So, we had a great time out on the lake. And again, as I mentioned before, the clouds were made. This is just one last shot of how crazy cool the clouds were all day. But we had a good time. Thanks to Mom and Dad for having us out. Car show, plane show, time on the lake.
It was a great day.
It was really fun.
And again, I mean, everybody says this, but the pictures just don't do it justice.
Oh,
just
yeah.
to be out in creation is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. So.
Right.
Well, this next picture is our last photo
Who are those crazy
in our
kids?
wedding series. So, with the budget that we had for our wedding, we chose not to buy a wedding dress. And that's a long story. I was not upset about it at all. I was more upset that I was really struggling to find something I liked. I just felt like I was really hard to fit. I didn't really like what I was seeing. And I had a sweet, sweet friend who had got married the year before, and she stood next to me and she said, "You know, we're really the same size, the same shape. You should try my wedding dress."
Yeah.
And what a generous, kind offer for her. And I tried it on, and it fit perfectly. I had to do like tiny, tiny little alterations to a couple places, and that was it. So we saved a ton of money not buying a dress. And then we took...
Having bought 2 dresses for my 2 daughters.
Yeah. We saved a ton of money.
Yeah. Or at least been involved in the process.
Yeah, been involved.
Yeah.
But knowing how much a wedding dress can cost.
Right.
We just decided we would take that money and put it towards clothes that we could keep and wear. Again, we were going to start a job as... youth pastors at a church. And so these clothes were going to get a ton of good use.
And they did.
And this was the outfit. These were the outfits that we bought to go and to leave the wedding and to go on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
So I love this picture. I love I love those clothes. They meant a lot to me. Those were kind of our wedding clothes to me. Because you didn't get to keep your tux. I didn't keep my dress.
Right.
But these were the clothes that we bought to go away in, and then really wore a lot over the next couple years. So I love them. They were good. So so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up, like we said, our marriage series, Sailing the 7 Seas of a Successful Marriage. And we were just gonna go back and remind you the first topic was communication.
Then cooperation.
Then compromise.
Right in the middle, we said it was the fulcrum of the 7 was covenant.
Followed by commitment.
Then course correction.
And now finally, number 7. Today we're going to talk about compassion. And we, again, looked it up in the dictionary. Compassion in dictionary.com says a feeling of deep sympathy and sorrow for another who is stricken by misfortune, accompanied by a strong desire to alleviate the suffering.
Yeah. And then if you've watched very many of our podcasts, you've probably seen us refer to the 1963 World Book Encyclopedia Dictionary.
Classic.
Which is my favorite. The definition of compassion in that is the feeling for another's sorrow or hardship that leads to help. So they both are very similar. And then also the word compassionate was the next word, and compassionate is desiring to relieve another's suffering. So we were kind of talking as we looked up these definitions and we were preparing for the episode that the way this is worded, feeling of deep sympathy and sorrow for another who is stricken by misfortune, then the World Book definition is the feeling for another's sorrow or hardship that leads to help. And I just thought the way that sounds is a much deeper, bigger problem that you need to have compassion for than what I feel like we deal with on an everyday basis in our marriage.
Right, right.
Although those can come along. But the compassion that we're talking about is you're having a bad day and I'm compassionate towards you for that instead of saying, get over it. So it's kind of that kind of compassion that we're kind of focusing on today.
Well, we've been so fortunate to not have really, really deep suffering that needed compassion. I mean, there have been moments, but
Right.
as a general over,
For the most part.
yeah, for the most part. When we were getting ready to do this, I just started thinking, what are some of the things that you have compassion for? I think everybody naturally has compassion for something.
Yep.
And I thought, if it's, for me, I've just noticed in my life, like young moms, when I see a young mom, I just immediately have compassion for her. And
'Cause you've been there.
Yeah. Well, having been one, and now I think specifically even just after having watched our grandbaby for a few days, it kind of got stirred up even deeper. I was just reminded of, again, how exhausting that job can be, not just physically, but even more so emotionally, mentally, spiritually.
Yeah.
I remember as a young mom, we would try to get everybody to church on a Sunday morning, all 6 of us.
Yeah.
And the work that it took to get everybody, wake everyone up, feed them, clothe them, find all the correct shoes,
Right.
get everyone in the car, and then make it to church on time. It was like, whew, like that was a big job.
It was a lot.
And then there were Sundays, some Sundays where we would be just a little bit late. And there would be, I remember there would be an usher that would sometimes give us like a disappointed look. Like I just about came undone. I thought, do you have any idea what it took to get us all here?
Right.
Like the effort that we took. And I thought, no, they probably don't. They probably don't have any compassion for that because they don't understand.
Well, most people have never had 4 kids at the same time.
Well, and I would always say, I just think if a family with young kids makes it to church and they're all dressed, standing ovation.
Yeah.
Like everybody should stand up and clap.
Right.
Because that's how, it's just so much effort. I have a lot of compassion for that.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Well, I'm going to go opposite. Instead of talking about something that I especially have compassion for, I'm going to talk about something that I find difficult to have compassion for.
Okay.
And this is just me kind of telling on myself, being a little extra transparent here. But I think it's true for a lot of people that, well, let me go back up here really quick. The feeling for another's sorrow or hardship that leads to help, or a feeling of deep sympathy and sorrow for another who is stricken by misfortune, accompanied by a strong desire to alleviate the suffering. So there's the word suffering. And so I would say the suffering that you yourself have caused is the hardest suffering to be compassionate about. And what I mean by that is if I hurt your feelings, whether it's intentional or unintentional, and I would say I've not intentionally hurt your feelings for a long time. I'm not saying I wasn't petty at one time. But if I do something that hurts your feelings and then you say, well, you hurt my feelings, and as you're explaining it to me in my mind, I'm like, well, I don't think that should hurt your feelings. We've been married a long time and I don't understand where you're coming from. I think it's hard to be compassionate for things that you don't understand.
Yep, exactly.
Like you're putting this on me that I did something to you and I don't see it. I think you're just frustrated because you're having a bad day or whatever else, and you didn't need, maybe I could have done it this much better, but on a normal day you wouldn't have even noticed that. But today, now you're all upset with me and it's my fault. And I feel like what we're teaching is to be a good spouse. You should be compassionate when your spouse is having a bad day, but I'm confessing that it's hard for me when when I've said or done something and you're like, oh, you've made my day worse, and now I'm kind of all upset, and I'm just needing an apology, and then I'm thinking, I don't know if I can even apologize for that because I don't even think I did anything wrong. It feels like a lie, and I don't want to be the kind of person that just says whatever I have to say to smooth
Right.
everything over. I would rather get to the heart of it, but then that's hard because sometimes getting to the heart of it is a big whole process, or it can't even happen in one day. And so that's where I think compassion gets really hard. And I think I struggle with, in my very literal thinking and my very literal linear thinking, that I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I'm still kind of bad. That it sometimes I think, okay, I should just say, if I hurt your feelings, I apologize. That was certainly not on purpose. And you've told me after the fact, if I would just say that, it would help a lot.
Right.
But in my brain, I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong, and I'm not going to take ownership for doing something wrong because that's a lie, and it opens the door for it to be my fault every time in the future. And I'm going down this whole other road that has nothing to do with compassion or getting us to be on the same page and mending. And so that's what I struggle with.
Yeah. Well, I think it is hard. It maybe different personalities have different levels of difficulty with that. If you're not naturally a compassionate or empathetic or sympathetic person, maybe. But yeah, I was just thinking compassion with relation to spouses, it is important. I put, recognizing that they are different than you, that I'm going to have different filters than you are.
Right.
As far as like, we weren't brought up the same way.
No.
We have so many things about our background and different things that we see things through so many different filters. And even we've learned different skills. Like there are things that you're really good at that I am not good at, and I have no desire to become good at. But the same for me too, that there's things that I do that you don't do well and you don't want to get better at. It's, we could go on and on about that, but we just know that about ourselves. And so I feel...
Well, they say opposites attract, and it's not always complete and total opposites, but in every relationship, you're going to have differences of strengths and weaknesses. And so that comes into play with compassion and other skills and other personality traits as well, but you're just going to be different.
Well, I feel like in a general sense, we've learned to be compassionate about things that you do. You step in and you help me with things that I'm not good at. And I've learned to do the same for you, and just to recognize, you know what? It's not fair just to say, oh, well, I can do that. He should be able to do that. No, we have compassion for each other to say, okay, they're not good at that. I am. I'm going to step in with my skill set, and I'm going to help.
Yeah.
And I would think, in a more specific sense, also, what kind of day did your spouse just have? What kinds of physical things are they going through? Do they actually just don't feel well? What's the stress level at their job? There's so many, you could go on and on with the specifics, but just to be compassionate towards each other and to be thinking, what are the external things pressing in on them that are making them behave the way they're behaving, I guess.
Yeah, and we had something not long ago where we both were exhausted. And really, you had been going through a few days of something that wasn't bad, but it took a lot out of you.
Right.
And it was really the same for me, but we were going through different things. And then things kind of hit the fan, so to speak. And I said something which I thought was completely innocuous, and you got upset. And then it was just all the things that I described earlier.
Yeah.
That's not the first time that's happened, but it was taken really from a recent event. And we had to really kind of just back off of it and give it a little time.
And I love
get
what you
some
just
rest.
said. Yeah, get some rest. I think that's a huge tip is, are you exhausted?
Yeah.
You know, if you are exhausted, don't try to solve your problems. Go take a nap, which we actually did. We're like, yeah, let's go take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
And then we woke up from the nap. We're like, you know what? I still don't feel myself. Let's just not even talk through this yet.
Yeah.
We just waited till we physically felt better so that we could have clear minds and to think. And I think that's super smart.
There's an old saying, and I didn't look this up because I didn't think about it when we were putting together all of our notes. I think it's actually in the Bible, but it says don't go to bed angry or something to that effect, which I think is in Proverbs, which Proverbs are not commands, but they're just sayings that are true more often than not. Anyway.
And like, don't let the sun go down on your anger.
Right.
Something like
right.
that.
And I think that's a good rule that works most of the time. Mm-hmm. But in 33 years of marriage, we have learned that there are some times, whether it's because the clash is so big or it's because we're both just so completely exhausted, that it's just not going to get resolved today. But we didn't even say this last time because we both know it. But sometimes you just have to look at each other and say, I love you. We're going to get through this, but I can't talk to you right now.
Right.
And you just go to bed.
Yeah.
And we'll pick this up when we have more rest and more energy and clearer heads. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you also just need a little bit of distance from whatever it was that happened. You just need a little space from that. And I'm not saying, just let it fester for a month or something.
Right,
That's crazy. Right. Don't do that.
No.
But within 24 hours or so, we were in a much better place.
Well, and for me too, sometimes when we say that, and I'll even tell you, I need to just step out and pray about this for a minute, because sometimes I just need the Lord to speak to me and help me to kind of even realize, like we said before, with that shovel, you dig down and think, okay, why am I angry? Mm-hmm. Why is this such a big deal to me? Because it might not be what you're actually arguing about. Right. So, yep, get a nap, get a snack, get alone and pray, and then carefully come back together. When we were doing our research on the word compassion, one of the things that I found was that this is one of the first words that God uses to describe himself. Yeah. And I love that so much. I'm going to read Exodus 34, verses 5 and 6. It says, Then the Lord came down in the cloud and stood there with him, with Moses, and proclaimed his name, the Lord. And he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. Wow. And I just think if that's the word that God is using to describe himself, that's a word we should strive to have describe us as well. Yeah. To be compassionate people.
Right. Well, as we've got a little bit more to say, but as we're kind of putting a bow on compassion as well as the full series, I just wanted to reiterate something that I said a couple episodes ago. Ephesians 5:25 says, "Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." And I won't spend as much time on that as I did in the previous episode, but just to remember that Christ really sacrificed what he wanted, because in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was praying, before he knew he was about to go be beaten and crucified, he asked God, his Father, if he could get out of it. But then he said, "But whatever your will is, God, I will do that." And so when the Bible says that we're to love our wives the way that Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, it certainly means that marriage involves sacrifice, and that you don't get what you want every time. Just because you are the head of the household, as the Bible says, doesn't mean that you get to be selfish and have an excuse like, well, I'm the head, so this is what we're doing. We talked more fully about that as well. So you can go back, if you missed anything, you can go back and see the whole series. But just a reminder, men, to be unselfish and to take care of your wife. And if you do that, and if you lead well, then I promise that your marriage will be much better. That now there's a balance to that, and wives shouldn't be trying to take advantage of that and say, well, I'm going to just be selfish because if he's supposed to give himself up for me, then I'm going to make sure I get everything I want all the time. Well, that's not really reasonable. That's not healthy. That's not mature. Remember, marriage is for adults. We need to act like mature adults. The way all of this works best, and I've mentioned this before too, is if you both strive to learn and meet each other's wants and needs. And if you do that, then you're the most likely to get what you want in marriage, but you get it through mutual love, sacrifice, and unselfishness. So those are some key things that we've talked about that I just wanted to bring back up.
Yeah, and just when I was thinking about wrapping up this whole series, there was a specific verse that kept coming to mind, and we've seen some really good examples of marriage. Mm-hmm. And when I think about those marriages, I think about this verse, and I think it's 1 Peter 4:8. It says, above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins.
That's so true.
And I think, in marriage, it's not that you're not going to make mistakes with each other.
Right.
But if your goal is to love each other deeply, hopefully you're going to make those mistakes in the pursuit of loving each other.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it all right, but hopefully that love is always the goal, always the target that you're shooting for.
Right.
So.
Well, you're right. No one is perfect and no marriage is perfect, but better to miss the mark by loving too much and trying too hard to get it right than to be trying too hard to make sure that you get what you want, that what you want, and that your needs are met and that you're looking out for number one. That's a really good way to wreck a marriage. So I hope that this has been helpful, and we've had a really good time going through the sailing the 7 seas of a successful marriage. If you enjoyed it, if you got anything out of it, share it with someone else. Please, you can share this episode or share any of the episodes. You can subscribe if you haven't done that already. We appreciate your time. We know that it's valuable, and we're thankful for you to join us for this series, but also for every episode, hopefully. And just a little teaser, next week's show and tell includes more photos from wild and wonderful places, but this time from West Virginia. You don't want to miss that. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
See ya.